There's a town in Alaska so remote it doesn't exist on any map. Raven Creek is not listed in any database. No highway signs point to it. The government says it's abandoned. Locals say that's a lie. People still live there. They just don't leave. And if you follow the old trapper roads west long enough, eventually you'll see why. Many who find the town don't intend to be there. Neither did Fiona Novak, a government land surveyor sent to map the forest boundaries for a future logging site. Her first warning came before she ever reached the snow line. At a rusty gas station 200 miles from the nearest city, the old man behind the counter asked where she was headed. When Fiona mentioned Raven Creek, his smile fell from his face like melting ice. "Turn back before you hear it," he said. "Hear what?" she asked. The lake," he whispered. She thought he was crazy. She laughed it off. She wouldn't laugh again for a long time. "There's a town in Alaska so remote it doesn't exist on any map. Raven Creek is not listed in any database. No highway signs point to it. The government says it's abandoned. Locals say that's a lie. People still live there. They just don't leave. And if you follow the old trapper roads west long enough, eventually you'll see why. Many who find the town don't intend to be there. Neither did Fiona Novak, a government land surveyor sent to map the forest boundaries for a future logging site. Her first warning came before she ever reached the snow line. At a rusty gas station 200 miles from the nearest city, the old man behind the counter asked where she was headed. When Fiona mentioned Raven Creek, his smile fell from his face like melting ice. "Turn back before you hear it," he said. "Hear what?" she asked. "The lake," he whispered. She thought he was crazy. She laughed it off. She wouldn't laugh again for a long time. She reached Black Pine Lake just before sundown. The rumors called it cursed, but it looked peaceful, too peaceful, an unbroken mirror of ice under a dead gray sky. She killed the engine. The silence was heavy now. Dense, watching. Then something struck the ice. Once, twice, 3 times. Like muffled knocking from beneath the surface, she froze, holding her breath. Another knock came, then another, from a different spot on the lake. Something was moving under the ice. She backed away, boots crunching in the snow. Then, just for a heartbeat, she heard it. A voice. A faint woman's voice. "Help, please." She spun around. No one. Her radio crackled, but only static replied. A storm drove her to seek shelter. She found a small collapsed cabin near the tree line, half buried in snow, and leaning as though something massive had pushed up from beneath it. Inside, she found a lantern, a workbench, and a trapdoor. The metal rings were ice cold. Someone had chained it shut from the outside, but the chains had been ripped open. Against her better judgment, she opened it. Warm air drifted up from below. Wet air. Breathing air. With every step down that narrow staircase, the wall seemed to pulse, and the deeper she went, the less alone she felt. At the bottom was a carved tunnel glowing faintly from cracks in the walls. It sloped downward. Under the lake, she followed. The air grew humid. Dripping water echoed. Beneath her boots, something shifted. Soft ground where no soil should be. Then her light hit bone. Human bone. Hundreds of skulls were fused into the tunnel walls, mouths wide open as if they drowned screaming. She wanted to turn back, but something was pulling her forward, a feeling like her own thoughts weren't hers anymore. Return what was taken, return what was taken. The voice wasn't heard. It was felt like ice sliding into her skull. The tunnel opened into a massive cavern beneath the lake. A black water pool churned silently at the center, though nothing moved on the surface. Floating above it was a stone altar covered in carved symbols. Heavy metal chains hung from the ceiling, broken. Something had been held here. Something had escaped. On the altar lay a black stone talisman carved with spirals and symbols. Against every instinct, she stepped forward and picked it up. The chamber screamed, not with sound, but inside her head. Thousands of voices, men, women, children, whispering as one. "You took it. Now it will take you." The black water rippled. Something rose beneath the surface. Massive, slow, ancient. She ran. She made it to town by dawn. The sheriff listened silently. The townspeople gathered slowly, pale and watchful. No one argued. No one laughed it off as madness. They believed her. That made it worse. Sheriff Talbot stared at the talisman in her hand with dread. "You shouldn't have brought that here," he said. "What is it?" she asked. "A promise," he said. "We broke it. Now winter is ending too early." He pointed at the windows. Snow was melting. Steam rose from the streets. Something ancient was thawing. "You need to put it back," he said. "Before you hear what happened next, understand this. Raven Creek isn't cursed. It's punished. By night, the temperature spiked above freezing. Snow collapsed from rooftops. Trees cracked. Ice roads split in half. Then came the screams. Something crawled out of the lake. Something made of frozen people. Bodies fused together. Arms, legs, and frozen faces, all moving as one colossal shape. Their eyes still alive, but begging for death. The people of Raven Creek dragged Fiona back to the lake. "Oh, you brought this on us," Sheriff Talbot said. His voice broke. "Why me?" Fiona cried. "Because you heard it," he said, "and now it hears you." The massive frozen thing towered above them, human mouths stitched across its surface. Whispers poured from it like wind through a graveyard. "Return what was taken." Fiona held out the talisman. Her hand shook violently. She threw it into the lake. The monster stopped. Then it began to sink, slow and silent, back beneath the ice. The lake froze over. Wind returned. Winter sealed the world again. The town went quiet. No one spoke as Fiona walked away. They didn't thank her. They just whispered prayers. She packed her bags and left Alaska that night, swearing never to return. 3 months later, a rescue team found a crashed helicopter near Black Pine Lake. Inside, strapped to the pilot's corpse, was a small black talisman, identical to hers. The ice was cracking again. This recording was never meant to be heard. It was recovered from a remote communication cabin buried in the mountains of Alaska, Icefall Ridge Station. The man who made the final transmission, Elias Mercer, was found frozen inside the cabin, eyes open, mouth full of ice, reaching toward the radio as if trying to speak. He died alone, but before he did, he taped 3 words to the console, 3 words that nobody can explain. "They are buried." What you are about to hear was his final transmission. No one goes to Icefall Ridge in December unless they want to or get paid too much to say no. Elias Mercer had been working radio communication for years, but nothing prepared him for the crushing silence of that mountain outpost. His only job was to record unusual radio signals and check in twice daily with Anchorage Command. The cabin was small, 1 bed, 1 generator, and 1 military-grade radio unit connected to an antenna tower that groaned under the biting Alaskan wind. The first 7 days were uneventful. He passed time reading old paperback novels and making coffee over a tiny stove. Wind and radio static became his only company. But on the eighth night, just past 2 a.m., something broke through the static. A voice. It began as a faint whisper, so buried in the static he thought he imagined it. Then it spoke again, wet and broken, like frozen lungs trying to breathe. "Hello? Please, anyone, please." Elias leaned over the radio, heart pounding. "This is Icefall Ridge Station. Identify yourself." At first there was only breathing, raspy, unnatural. Then the voice returned. "Help, so cold. Help me. Please." It was a woman's voice, but distorted wrong. Elias demanded coordinates, but before he got an answer, the voice shifted, changing tone, changing pitch. "You should not be here." Then the signal died. Command told Elias to ignore it. "Just atmospheric interference," they said. Aurora activity can mimic voices, but Elias knew what he heard, and it came back the next night, only worse. The signal grew stronger, closer. This time it spoke his name. "Elias, we hear you." His stomach tightened. Panic crawled into his throat. He had never once given his name over the air. "Who is this?" he demanded. The radio crackled. "We never left the ridge." A violent metallic screech rang out from outside. Something was hitting the antenna tower. Elias grabbed his coat and flashlight and stepped outside into the brutal screaming wind. Snow bit at his face. Then he froze. The beam of his flashlight caught something halfway up the radio tower. It was a person, a figure, pale, thin, clinging to the tower like an insect. Its head snapped around unnaturally, eyes black and hollow. He staggered back. The radio behind him came alive. "We found the warm place. Come inside." The thing on the tower dropped 15 feet onto all fours. Then it ran at him. Elias slammed the cabin door shut and barricaded it while something clawed and screamed from outside. It didn't sound human. It sounded like many voices shrieking at once. The attack lasted for hours. When dawn came, the thing was gone, but footprints remained in the snow. Handprints too. Many of them. Some had 6 fingers, and the generator had been destroyed. Elias knew then he would not survive long. By day 12, he could feel them watching from the trees. He heard footsteps outside every night. Slow, circling, patient. The radio never stopped talking now. Not one voice. Hundreds. Crying. Laughing. Moaning. Begging for warmth. On day 13, they came for him in the open. Dozens of figures gathered outside the cabin, motionless, staring, all of them frostbitten, all of them frostbitten, all of them dead, but not dead. He recognized one, a hiker from a missing poster he saw on the way up the mountain. Lost 2 years ago. The radio spoke one last time. We are buried, Elias, but we are not gone. His final broadcast was found recorded at 3:14 a.m. He whispered only one thing, voice broken from fear. They're under the snow. Beneath us, frozen but alive. Elias' body was found later, frozen in place, reaching for the radio. His eyes were wide, his mouth was open, as if he died screaming. The search team reported they heard something too while retrieving his body. Whispers. Under the snow.